So I'm talking today for Nick Green from PFi Aerospace, and Nick is going to be telling me all about what it is he is now doing. We've met previously, for those of you who are playing at home, and Nick and I have actually spoken over a year ago now, and so I thought it would be appropriate to actually catch up with Nick. So Nick, what is it you are up to now? I understand you've got a new you got a new title.
I do. So last time we talked, it was General Manager of Defence and Aerospace Special Projects.
Yeah.
For the lot. Now it's just CEO of PFi Aerospace.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what does that mean exactly?
PFi has started a new company.
Yeah.
Which is called PFi Aerospace.
Yeah.
And its primary role is to act like a arrowhead into industries PFI is too cumbersome to take into. So defence, aerospace, space industry globally.
Wow.
We can be a lot more agile where PFI can't.
Right. So does that still mean you manufacture things here in Australia, obviously on the shop floor what I've seen before?
Yeah, so PFI Aerospace will always be using PFI core as its manufacturing.
Oh, okay.
We're not planning to have machines. We might have advanced machines like 3D metal printers, that sort of thing, but we're not going to have the vast manufacturing behemoth that is PFI. It's not worth setting it up twice.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So anything that PFI core can do day to day, they'll be doing. If we have to do something fancy that isn't really cost out of PFI, we'll be doing it ourselves or reaching out to other people.
Oh, right. Reaching out to other people like who?
Subcontractors.
Oh, right.
So PFI technically gets what's classified as first right of refusal.
Yeah.
So if they decide, no, it's not really in our warehouse, but we need someone, we'll find someone.
Oh, okay. Excellent. And so what do you have going on at the moment that's related to space? What do you have in the works that obviously he can publicly talk about? Because there's a lot of stuff he told me off camera that was really awesome.
It's definitely watch this space.
Yeah, watch it. Always. All right. So, but I mean, last time we met up, you showed me the rocket engine that could be fired on school grounds as a technology demonstrator and all that sort of stuff. And then shortly thereafter, he also showed me the Suitcase rocket engine, which actually goes by the name of HAILI. HAILI. Right, HAILI.
Hybrid All-Inclusive Learning Initiative.
Hybrid All-Inclusive Learning Initiative.
HAILI.
Oh, okay. Excellent. So what's happened since last time we met?
Well, on your last bit of footage, you obviously saw Amber, which is sitting over in the corner over there. She's the larger motor, which we've fired a number of times in quite a few different schools. Still functioning, still good as ever.
Yeah.
The footage you got of HAILI, which was the small motor being, quite frankly, put together on the end of a desk.
Yeah, it was.
She's now fully operational. We've produced 15 of them so far.
Yep.
We're about to start a production run of about 50 more.
Oh, wow.
That should be happening within the next 2 months. So by January next year, we have a number of contracts being worked out through TAFE Queensland and a number of different schools to run this out a lot more.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
So those 50 motors should be operational in various aspects of society next year.
Oh, excellent. It's on everyone's mind, and so it'll be on my mind as well. Has COVID-19 impacted anything you've been doing?
Well, it stopped us.
It
just stopped us for 2 months. So mid-March through to April, we pretty much didn't do anything. It was scramble on deck, try and keep PFI operational.
All right, yeah. So PFI Aerospace was still going, except that you had to dedicate all the resources and yourself into actually taking care of PFI manufacturing.
Yeah, so technically PFi Aerospace didn't exist at that point.
Okay, yeah.
But part of the fact that Queensland has come through this fairly well, we felt confident that starting the company was the right step and the right time.
Yep.
So we've done that since then, and we've only expanded since. We've put on 4 new people total.
All right.
We're planning to put on 2 more shortly if we can find the right skill sets. And growing that further to working directly with Northrop in certain areas I can't talk about.
Always. So you actually have a contract with, as we said in the previous video, you've got a contract with Northrop. And what does that mean exactly for PFi Aerospace?
Yeah, so the accurate phrasing, we have a global supplier number to Northrop, and we have an MOU to work towards some more advanced space research and development programs. So the contract we're working towards, so the MOU forms the initial part of the contract. And that's about as much as I can say about it.
You can't go any
I
further.
genuinely wish I could say more, but it's the nature of the beast. These things are competitive contracts for Australian companies, including the prime. So Northrop is obviously competing against Boeing and other people. They all have a vested interest in keeping things quiet, and not to mention ITAR and all the other complexities that rockets bring in, that security programs and the list goes on. The complexities that go into this is just not a matter of being an amazing thing; it's also all the rest of it. So one of the main things we're hiring for is paperwork. So being able to get the right forms filled out and to maintain the right reporting and all the rest of it is actually the hardest part of the job, believe it or not.
Administration is the hard part.
It really is.
So
I can make anything. Do the paperwork, that's not my forte.
Yeah, mine either. So I certainly understand you there. So what about the last time we talked? There was also going to be an education program as well with HAILI. So what's happening with that? I mean, you said that you were signing deals with or looking at contract deals with TAFE. So what else is happening? Is there anything you can talk about publicly?
So TAFE, they're planning to do what's called taster programs for schools. We haven't finalised that contract yet, but I have no doubt it'll get through. So about 30,000 kids next year should be at high school when they do their taster program to work out if they want to do trades, that sort of thing. So we'll be making rocket motors as part of that program.
Wow.
So it's all funded by the state school program for these kids to go and do it. TAFE is going to have these rocket motors in those classrooms for them to pull apart, put back together and fire up.
Oh, they're going to fire them? Wow.
Well, wouldn't you want to?
Yeah, of course. Me, I'd love to see that.
And you've seen it, they're not that complicated.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And this stuff is for school age kids, so we're talking 14-year-olds.
Yep.
It can't be at a level that, obviously the space industry is complicated, and I do try and make light that anyone can do it, but you've got to start somewhere. This is about encouraging as low a level as we can get that's still functional, and then getting pretty much anyone to have a go at it. And we think we've hit the nail right on the head about accessibility, cost versus still cool factor, right?
Yeah, because that's exactly what you need to actually get people interested. So last time I was here as well, Nick was also alluding to something called Skydancer. What is Skydancer? What's happened with that?
Yeah, so it got shut down, just like everything else.
Yep.
We are back into production with it, which is, in essence, the next step.
Yep.
So if we look at HAILI being step one, so TAFE's high schools. Amber is high level TAFE, so we're talking about trades level, actually fourth year type trades.
Yep.
And then the next step beyond that is then go to university graduate type level. That's what Skydancer fits into. So it's an actual working rocket, so it flies. So HAILI is 30 kilos of thrust. Amber's 350 kilos of thrust. Skydancer's 1.8 tonne of thrust.
Wow.
Yeah, big jump.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
Probably it's about 8 times each time. So and Skydancer represents pretty much the largest flight capable version that is these hybrids that we've been making. You can get straight off the shelf.
Alright.
So using standard size valves, standard size bits of electronics, everything's standard. So to go much beyond that, you have to start completely rebuilding everything. And again, Australia doesn't really have the industry to supply into that kind of thing. But we also don't want to, because we want the cost to be as low and approachable as possible. So having university students do this, it can't be 500 grand a rocket. It's just never going to work.
Exactly.
So the program we're working on, it should be about 150,000 for the rocket.
Wow,
which is
cheap.
It's quite cheap, but the launch cost, which is the fun bit, less than 10,000.
Oh wow!
So that means that this is not space type rockets. They're very much straight up, straight back. PFi Aerospace does this sort of stuff all the time. Hybrid tech though, so we're starting to get a little bit more intricate, solids, but still very much similar capability. The trick though is put them in front of the schools, university students, and ask them, okay, this is working. Improve upon. Go forth, multiply. Which university students, I'm sure, are good at. So.
Let's not go down that path.
So I have bits of it here.
Yep.
Sitting behind me.
Because that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you what was that sitting behind you. So what is that?
So this is the main valve slash oxidizer distribution manifold for Skydancer. So it's going to sit right on top of the motor.
Yep.
It's a little bit complicated to go into, but in essence, it's no different to what's in HAILI and now.
Oh, right.
It's just a big valve that lets oxidizer into the combustion chamber.
And that's a big valve.
Big valve. Big one there, but we're not using the big one.
Oh, okay.
Didn't end up needing the flow, so it's all about how much oxidizer you can get into the combustion chamber per second. So this burns for 18 seconds.
Yeah.
It's about 110 kilos of nitrous oxide in those 18 seconds.
Yeah.
Which is about 6 to 8 of the large NOS bottles in those times. So every 2 seconds it's getting rid of one of those bottles.
Yeah, and I'll have to remember to do that right next time. The voiceover. I got it wrong last time. Very wrong.
Well, we saw amber. I can fire that 6 times on one of those bottles.
Oh, wow.
Whereas this is burning 6 of them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a big difference.
Yeah.
And the cars, Fast and Furious, they do a little squirt in the engine.
Yeah.
It's literally just a squirt.
Yeah.
Where these are burning kilos and kilos and kilos of it.
So what's the approximate height of something like Skydancer? What altitude can it go up to?
The simulations we've done,
Yeah.
and she's heavy, not designed to be efficient or anything.
Yeah.
It's about 45k.
Oh, wow.
Roughly.
Yeah, and this is just for university students to take up whatever.
What's higher than a weather balloon?
Yep.
But it sits in the realm that you and I have talked a little bit about.
Yes.
Where it doesn't fall too heavily into the space agency's purview, so it starts to minimise some of the issues with paperwork and a few other things.
Yep.
It still sits well in the range of CASA, so you don't have to do as much work to try and launch them on a regular basis, basically.
Right.
If we were going much more than that, the amount of, again, I'm hiring people for paperwork, the amount of paperwork you have to do would make it almost out of the run. Forget the money, but it just too much work.
Paperwork, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So do you have anything in the works at the moment that's bigger? That you can talk about clearly. Obviously, is there anything that you're working? Because last time I was here, you showed me what was going to be Skydancer, and obviously Skydancer is moving quite rapidly in terms of rocketry and all that sort of stuff. This is quite a rapid pace. So, is there anything bigger you've got planned?
There is, but I don't know if I'm going to talk about it. So, our school program is going to be over 2 years.
Yep.
HAILI is the first 18 months of it. There's actually a second part to that, which I haven't talked to anyone about.
Oh, okay. And you're not going to talk to me. So no exclusives.
Oh, yeah. When it starts, we'll definitely be back.
Oh, excellent.
And really, it's just more of the same. So it's growing what we currently have to make sure that it's self-sufficient, and then moving on to the next step. So if we get these 50 motors out into schools next year, which there's no reason why we shouldn't really, then that'll be the impetus to turn a lot of that money back in on itself, expand that out, and now we're just self-sufficient.
Yeah.
We're not relying on PFi core to maintain what is, in essence, quite an expensive hobby.
But it's a cool hobby to have.
I don't mind saying that it's a bit of a hobby. I mean, I do work for a living, people would think, but I have a lot of fun too.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, you've got to love what you do and do what you love.
I love my job.
Yeah, I can tell that.
Everyone in this room loves their job.
Yeah.
It is honestly very exciting. Like, you've heard some of the stories which we can't talk about.
Yeah.
The stuff that's going to be happening over the next 2 years, it's not world leading in any way, shape, or form. Like, we're not going to be reinventing anything that the globe hasn't seen before.
Yeah.
But for Australia, it's really going to set the pace of, okay, how does Australia get involved? What can we do? What is Australia capable of doing today? And what should they be working towards within a 2 to 5 year time frame? And what challenges that's going to bring across? And they're significant.
Yeah.
It's not. We can't step into the global space economy overnight. There's just no way.
So just on that, what are some of the challenges that you can openly
No, we can't talk about that.
Yeah.
Because the process is not secret, right?
Yep.
So one of the biggest hurdles that Australia doesn't know is skill base. Now, a number of companies have talked about this. We certainly have the engineering capability, but the variance between what is classified as earth-based engineering to what space-based engineering. There is a definite step
Difference, yeah.
forward. So we have to learn how to space qualify, basically.
Yeah.
That skill set is not something we can bring from the States very easily. ITAR restricts a lot of that information. A lot of documents I have are all redacted
Yeah.
by the Razoo. But that means that we have to get engineering, we have to sit down and actually try and nut through and build from scratch the understanding of the process. Again, lots of paperwork.
Yeah.
But practice, so it's all about R&D.
Yeah.
Build something, break it, repair it, go again. Just constantly iterate through thousands of different concepts until you get to something.
Heard that before.
Yeah.
It sounds like fail fast, fail forward. I wonder who that is.
Well, yeah. But the point is, that's basic principles.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Those
that's
principles of engineering. Exactly.
Just don't try and be the new fancy wheel.
Yeah.
Get the wheel.
Yeah.
Then try and go forward.
And that's the thing, is we need to actually get the wheel first. We need to get those fundamental first principles
Right.
nailed down before we can actually move forward.
And this is, in my view, the principal argument for Australia doing launch.
Yep.
If we, let's say we're a Formula One racing car company.
Yep.
So we're the last country in the world to build one. Let's say it's that, right? And we go up to the, start line, whatever. I can't watch a lot of sports.
Yeah, me either. I'm more of a rocket nerd.
I'm always at work. So we're that new team. Now we might have really fancy electronics, we might have a really good driver, we might have really good aerodynamics, and a whole bunch of other things. But let's say we can't change tyres on our own car.
Yep.
But we keep going to the other teams to say, can you please change our tyres? We need this to be done, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
They're always going to be looking at us like we're not taking it seriously, we're not a true team. What launch does is get us to that level where we've got all the basics nailed. We understand what dealing in space environments like. We have engineers and people that come in and understand the safety programs, all the rest of it. That's what launch does. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any financial outcomes. But on a globe stage, now we're talking about actually playing at a similar level. We're on the same playing field
Is everybody else?
as everybody else, because everyone else does launch.
Yeah, exactly.
And they see it as a right of entry.
Yeah.
So when you try and talk to, any suppliers overseas, they're always looking at us like, well, let us know once you actually get serious about this stuff and we'll start to deal with you, which is difficult.
Yeah.
Right? Now, we can build rocket motors. I build rocket motors. They're complex.
Yeah.
We dumb them down as much as we can. But at some point, someone in Australia has to launch a rocket
Yeah.
from Australian industry to really before we can take it seriously. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish it was different.
But
I also understand the analogy that they're seeing it as a bit of a test.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, we'll keep launching your satellites, but we're not going to be buying the satellites because we have our own satellite manufacturer. Where's the novelty?
Yeah. And plus all the restrictions that you alluded to, like ITAR and things like that, which is, they can't actually share that because it's under those acts. So sharing that knowledge and information, it's hard to come by.
So that dictates we have to start
from scratch.
We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So even if someone,
which is the Australian way, really.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, correct.
I love the idea, right?
Yeah.
But we can't even employ someone from overseas, someone that's made liquid rocket motors that we plan to do here. We can't even bring them here to do it because the information in their head is restricted by ITAR.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
wow.
The legislation works that they can't write a book, they can't put an email, they can't come and teach someone here, they can't do any of that because technically they've signed a security act over there.
Yeah.
And it's all restricted.
Yeah,
so the other part of that problem is while we haven't stepped up to that plate and we have all these restrictions, America's not prepared to open up their borders to allow information the other way.
Yeah.
So we can't go work for SpaceX, for example, because we don't know the technology. And for an Australian to go over there and work, they would learn that. What's stopping them coming back here and teaching it? So that barrier works both ways. So until we do it ourselves, they're not going to invite us over there. So we can't work for SpaceX anymore.
Wow.
We work for Tesla, which I wouldn't mind either, to be honest. But we can't work for SpaceX.
One dream at a time, mate. One dream at a time.
Yeah. So if we're thinking about doing, missions to the space station or other things like that, we're not included because we haven't done it.
Right.
So again, this all falls back. We don't know how to change the cars on tyre.
Yeah.
So they're just looking at us like we're not being serious yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've got to do it. At some point we have to do it.
Yeah, and which is why I imagine this is here. It's because we need to actually develop that.
This is nowhere near.
Oh no! I know that, but it's a start. It's on the pathway.
It's trying to show the right people and get the university students thinking about it.
Yeah.
So starting from scratch, that they'll develop a tech that every country already has.
Yeah.
To then be able to do the launches to orbit and other things like that on a regular basis. Just that it's got to be every day.
Yeah.
Not launching every day, but it's just got to be everyday capability.
Yeah, correct. Which we already have, rather than going out to buy it.
Well, yeah, we buy them.
Yeah.
It's the same way of going and Formula One team and hiring someone else to change our tyres. It's like, okay, fine, we've done all the rest of it, sure, but we're just not doing that bit. It's just, I think it's a genuine mistake.
Yeah.
But I also know it is a very passionate push by a lot of people in Australia to make that happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I don't know what sort of time frame. There's launch facilities being announced and other things, which is fantastic. But unfortunately, where we sit at the moment, the financial issues and a lot of other things, it's slow.
Yeah.
You see what happens?
Yeah, exactly. This is fascinating for me. This is
Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it. I want one.
So the fun thing about that is the 42
Yeah.
answer what you
Because that's everything. Of course. Douglas Adams. So talking about the exciting things that are happening in the Australian space industry, focusing on that in particular, the Australian Space Agency is doing a lot of things towards the moon to Mars, all that sort of stuff.
The advanced program.
Yeah, the advanced program, all that sort of stuff. So, just what are your general thoughts about how the Australian space industry is moving forward under guidance of the Australian Space Agency?
Yeah, so post-COVID, obviously, everyone's always talking about it.
Yeah.
Any sort of initiative that's going to start those sort of things and start to say, look, if we're going to get out of this, we're going to start skilling up all that.
Yeah, correct.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to balk about that. There are obviously some complexities around how this is going to be rolled out, but federal government programs always hard to manage and start. I'm sure in 5 years' time we'll go look back and go, well, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
So they did do a great thing, which is they've shifted it from being 50-50 co-paid to 50-25.
Right.
Which makes it a lot easier for companies to get involved, like itself. We'd love to be. We're not too sure if we fit just yet. We're trying very hard.
Yep.
But we do really hope that it becomes something where we can step into the realm to start working with the global space industry and be a part of the return of man. Artemis, kid sister of Apollo,
That'd be awesome.
first woman on the moon.
Yeah.
Well, the return of the moon is about setting up the right location.
Yeah, correct.
It's about finding water and other things for resources, but testing the equipment that we're going to use for base. Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a whole program that's very well documented. Definitely something Australia should be involved in because remote asset management plus in situ resource utilisation.
Yep.
Trying very hard not to use it. Australia is very good at that sort of stuff, and we should play a bigger role.
Yep.
It's definitely where if Australia's industry is interested in getting involved in this, those are the two areas you should really dig into, which is basically automation systems of various types.
Yeah, we seem to be really skilled at that at the moment, like AI and automation and all that sort of stuff. But this is on the path to where we need to be, and which is actually creating the interest in it. So we can actually
run.
Correct. Exactly that.
If we don't do it in that order, we're going to fall off a cliff. And, but we're at a very slow pace, which is actually okay in some ways.
Yeah.
But we should be doing the other things, like we said, if we want to get away from space, at least break down some other barriers and try and open up the industry a bit more.
Yeah, correct. Right. So the last question I have, I guess more than anything else, because I'm sure people will be curious, is: are you guys hiring? And what skills are you looking for? Are you looking for someone to document things on YouTube? Because I know you don't.
Always happy to have you back.
Yeah, I know.
We are always looking for people.
Yeah.
Primarily looking for an extremely wide base of skills.
Okay.
Because we can't afford to have a lot of people.
Yep.
So multi-skilled people is pretty much critical. Extremely enthusiastic. So these are like yourself.
Yeah.
You literally ooze the opportunity.
Well, that's something I've never been called before. Oozed. There you go.
You you know what it is. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean. Someone who is passionate and excited and get fired up about space as soon as
it's actually not that hard to find.
No.
But then I need the backgrounds and other things. It becomes difficult.
Yeah, correct.
You know, and it is what it is. We're working on a lot of programs. The whole STEM program we're working on is to do exactly that. We believe that this is a 10+ year time frame.
Yeah.
I want kids getting excited today so that as I grow this, I have the pool of people to start keep drawing from.
Oh, you're doing this to build a pool of people that you can use.
Why not?
Wow.
Isn't that
Wow, that's one way of doing it. That's awesome.
We can't find the right type of person.
Of course. And that's the thing, is it goes back to what you were saying earlier, which is you need people in-house to actually do it inside our country, because you can't hire it from overseas.
I can't know.
Yeah.
But we need extremely creative, problem solve, resilient. I mean, I could list them all.
Yeah.
You've got to be extremely capable of working in a team, high, intense, extremely difficult, demoralizing. But I also know that we are growing this industry. I need that talent to start coming up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be going anywhere. This is definitely long term for me. This is my life for the rest of whatever it is going to be.
Yeah.
So what does that mean in 5-10 years? Well, if I do what I'm supposed to be doing, I need 100+ people.
Correct.
So
yeah, we need to get it from
where are they coming from?
Yeah, exactly. And you're creating that too.
Well, we see it's odd, but we see, and this is a little bit kind of off topic, but we see schools as producing a product. Now, their product is highly employable resource of skills, in essence.
Yeah.
Now, that's not a detriment topic to the students, because really, the better the product, which is them, the more likely they are to have very successful careers.
Of course.
So this is about if all of us, industry, governments, schools, public, can get on the idea that we need to make the best, highest quality thing as we can, well, that's only good for everyone.
Yeah, correct.
But if industry isn't explaining accurately to the schooling industry what that product needs to look like, well, we're not going to get what we want.
Yeah, correct.
So industry has to step up and get directly involved in making sure that they're requesting the right sort of product coming out the end for what they need. And because we are shifting into what is in essence a new industry, which is high advanced manufacturing through high-tech industries, so defence and aerospace, we have to start looking at this at a totally different level to what Australia has done before.
Yeah.
So it's rebuilding education from the ground up for the right outcomes to meet the demand of the future.
All right. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time again, Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you. And look, I hope to be invited along to some of the other stuff we're talking about off camera.
I love the way you put that on. So we're not agreeing to it.
No, I mean, look, there's lots more that Nick is certainly is working on, and it's one of those things that I'd like to be there. But yeah, it's certainly always been a pleasure. It's always interesting to come and have a chat to you and to see exactly where you've come from, given that the Suitcase rocket engine is now called HAILI, or HAILI, sorry, get it wrong every single time, called HAILI, and you've got Skydancer, and you've got everything going on in the background, the education program. I think Nick from PFi Aerospace is going to be wonderful. Thanks again, mate.
No problem.